And I think that we have to work hard from a military perspective to build relations with the media.
What would you say is the most important factor in trust between the military and the media?
Well, I do think it's those four factors, but we really got to work hard to understand each other. I think that we need to understand each other. We need to understand what our culture is, what our values are, and then we've got to work hard to maintain those values.
One thing the general said, the private can tell a story just as good as the general can, or just as good as the sergeant can, or just as good as the lieutenant. And being a student veteran and now part of the media, I came away with a better understanding of how to be a little bit more professional in the media, try and ask the questions. I think that, you know, everything that he said, trying to understand the media better as a veteran is equally important, especially with my counterparts in the new media major.
When people like me want to communicate with people of your age, what are some, I'm just going to ask a question, what do you think some of the breakdowns or the pitfalls are? I mean, if the way I communicate with you is by lecturing you, how positive is that? How well do you receive that? Not very well. That's not how you communicate. That's not how you communicate with each other. And so I'm going to go back to Captain Allgaier here. What's the average age of the folks? Yeah, I know you're not wearing a watch. What's the average age of the folks in your company?
Average age folks in my company? Oh, probably between 18 and 23.
Okay. And how did they communicate?
Cell phone, Facebook.
So if he relied only on him in the what I would call the transmission mode, him lecturing other people, or he's going to put out something and not receive it, and his means of putting it out. In my case, if I relied solely on radio and television, you know, who am I going to reach? The people who listen to the radio and watch TV, which is not necessarily the people we want to reach. When you look at the world, you have to understand how the world communicates. And as a leader, if you want to communicate with an audience, you need to understand that audience and figure out how they communicate, and then be able to operate in that sphere.